Okay, now that we've seen how to use numbers in Python as a calculator, let's see how we can assign names and create variables. We're first going to create a very simple variable called a and set it equal to 5. And now that I've run that, anywhere in my code, when I call a, it's now assigned the variable 5. And I can reassign it simply by saying a is then equal to something else like 10. And now if I check a, it has 10 there. And I can also add now objects together. I could say a plus a, and that's going to result in 20 because 10 plus 10 is equal to 20. And Python also allows you to do reassignments with a reference to the same object. Let me show you what I mean by that. I could say a, which is still equal to 10. I could reassign it to be, say something like a is equal to a plus a. So what that is saying is take the current value of a, which is 10, and reassign it to a plus a. So that's 10 plus 10. So after I run this, a is now going to be equal to 20. And keep in mind, if I were to run this cell a second time, so notice the in operator here, it's going to go from 40 to 42. If I run a again, it's 40 now. And you can keep doing this again and again, and you'll keep seeing it essentially double each time. So keep that in mind. This is a little different than in a script environment. If you're running a .py script, you won't really see that effect because you'll just have that line once. In a cell environment, you'd have to run that cell over and over again. Okay, so let's imagine that we don't know what type is a. What you can do is use the built-in type function, so that's type, have open and close parentheses, and we'll learn how to create our own functions later on, but pass in the variable there, do Shift-Enter, and you'll get back Python's built-in keyword for what the type is. And in this case, it's int because it's an integer. Let's reassign it to be a floating point number. So we'll say 30.1. Let's check the type of that, type of A, and it returns back that float. So these are the same keywords that we saw when we discussed that table of basic data types. Now, as we previously mentioned, you want to avoid using built-in Python keywords as variable names. And the way you could know if that's happening or not is, let's say I wanted to start assigning int equal to 4. So notice what's happening here. I have syntax highlighting on int, and I didn't get that before with a. So that means that int here is a special built-in keyword, and you shouldn't use it for something like this. So if you ever see that your variable name is having some special highlighting that a normal variable name it doesn't have, then you should avoid using this. So definitely don't ever run that. And if you accidentally ran that as you were following along, or maybe you made some other reassignment mistake, you can always come here to kernel and select restart the kernel, and that will restart the kernel, and it will kind of delete all the variables, so all variables will be lost. So if you ever have some weird kind of error happening because you reassign something like list or int, you can hit restart here. It will restart the kernel, and then you'll need to run these cells again if you ever want to define anything, because if we say a here, it'll say, hey, a is not defined, so you need to rerun these cells, and then you have 5 again. Okay, so last thing I want to note is a simple example where we use variable names. So I will say my income is equal to 100. And then in this cell, I will say my tax rate is, let's say I have a 10% tax rate, so 0.1, and I want to figure out what my total taxes paid are. I will say my taxes is equal to my income times my tax rate. So I have that, and now let's check what my taxes are. How much do I owe? I'll check my taxes, and there I have 10.0. So now I can perform logic with variable names. And this is a lot more readable than just using integers or floating point numbers, because now I have this nice, almost English sentence that says my taxes is equal to my income times my tax rate. Okay, so we've learned some basic numbers in Python, we've learned how to do arithmetic, and we've wrapped it up by learning how to do variable assignment in Python. Up next, we're going to learn about strings. I'll see you there.